Today we are talking about journaling and keeping notes and how important it can be to take advantage of the times when you feel inspired and when you have good ideas. I know there's times when I feel like I've got a lot of good ideas. Maybe it's something I wanted to talk about while I was making a video. Maybe it's just a cool inspirational quote that I came across and I thought, that's really nice, I want to remember that. Maybe it's an objective, a goal, something I wanted to do that just popped into my head. I should do that. I should apply this particular idea in my life. There's always good ideas that we come across, and they're not necessarily huge. Sometimes it's just a little blurb, but it's the seed for some kind of content. And then there's other times when it just seems like inspiration doesn't come. Like you could just sit there and you could think about it all day long and it doesn't matter. You just can't get your mind to be in the right frame for creativity. I think it's a lot easier to be creative maybe early in the morning. You know, you just got up, it's 6 a.m, you've taken a shower, you're just getting started with the work day, and you have all these great ideas. Then you go through all day long and you come home, you're tired now. Maybe you're not even physically tired, but you're mentally tired, and you just can't think anymore. But maybe you could if you had made some notes earlier when you did have those good ideas, when you were feeling inspired and motivated. But if you don't have something to kind of get you going, you just can't come up with the original ideas later on. So, you know, I use a personal journal app that I've enjoyed called Journey, and it's something that is just available. It's like a nice, pretty lightweight app on my phone or on the computer, and anytime an idea pops into my head, I just jot it down. Maybe it's something that seems like a good idea to talk about. Maybe it's something I want to do. Maybe it's just a thought about life that's, you know, going on in my head. And I think it's helped me a lot in a lot of different ways, whether it's just staying organized or maybe even having a better sense of understanding of myself. Because I think we believe that we know everything about ourselves because it seems almost like it should be self-evident that we do know ourselves. We are ourselves. And yet the truth is we often are kind of in the dark when it comes to our feelings, when it comes to why we do the things we do, when it comes to how we feel about other people. Because it's kind of like when you look around, you think that your eyesight is basically like a high-definition TV screen. But the truth is, it's more of kind of a needlepoint sort of a thing where you have a high-definition view of a very, very tiny area that you're able to focus on. And the fact that you're able to change your focus rapidly makes it feel like you have a much bigger scope of vision than you really have. That's one reason why people are easily tricked into feeling like they can use their cell phones while they're driving and still see everything going on around them while they're on their phone. And the truth is they can't, and they don't realize that because they think that they have this broad field of vision, and really they only can see a very small area where they're looking at. So when you're looking at your phone, it's basically totally impossible for you to even see anything going on the road. And if you really think about that, then, you know, like who would want to do that? Who would want to be blind for a few seconds while they look at their phone? But people don't realize that. And it's the same thing with our thoughts and our emotions and our imagination. It's really easy to kind of get lost because we aren't self-aware enough to know what's going on in our own minds. And that's one reason why I think it's really useful to keep a journal consistently and to jot down ideas and thoughts as you have them. Because if you don't, you'll miss out on a lot of potentially eye-opening things. Not only things that you can apply later on, but also things you may discover about yourself. And it seems a little bit crazy to say that you should talk to yourself, and I probably would not advise that you just do this in public, talking to yourself. But in a way, keeping a journal basically is talking to yourself. You're writing down ideas, you're able to reflect on those ideas later, and then you can expound on them more so that you have a better, more well-rounded sense of where you are coming from. And self-awareness is the first step toward personal transformation. If you don't know the content of your own heart, you can't really course correct. You can't really change. You can't really have a plan because you don't really even know why the things you do and feel are that way. But sometimes when you put it in writing and you really just lay it out there, it can be a lot easier for you to diagnose maybe what it is you need to work on in your own personal life. But certainly writing has been transformative to the human race. Think about the creation of the printing press, going from a time when information was largely passed on in a handwritten form to a time when media could be duplicated and shared on a large scale. That was one of the big things that catapulted civilization into what would become the modern era. And it's the same thing in our personal lives. When we use media like a journal to extend our own ability to remember things, that can be a huge boon to our personal productivity and success. I think it's important to remember things and surround yourself with symbols of what matters to you. Because the truth is, we do forget a lot. We forget things that inspired us before. We forget ideas that we used to have fresh in our mind. So the more you surround yourself with books, with stories, maybe collectibles, whatever they might be, things that you get, things that you have that you can come back to and you can say, oh yeah, that is what I was forgetting. And then you don't forget, you remember it. Now, lastly, I will add to this, it's also good to have a routine. Because we only have so much energy, so much mental energy, and you don't want to waste a lot of that energy on things that should be more autonomous. Like, how do you drive a car? Or how do you brush your teeth in the morning? Well, these are super automatic things. You don't stop and say, I have to plan the movements of my toothbrush in this specific way. You don't put a lot of thought into it. You just do those things because you know you're going to do them. They don't take a lot of mental energy away from your day. And it's the same thing with personal motivation and stuff. The more you can stop worrying about little things and overthinking little things that aren't going to make your life any better, and instead put that energy into things that you truly enjoy, into things that you truly have a deliberate, mindful desire to participate in, the better off you're going to be. Because when you're spending a lot of effort on things that don't benefit you, then that ultimately contributes that much more to not being able to find the mental strength or energy to do things that you've always been wanting to do. So simplify your life with having a routine. Surround yourself with a lot of things that perhaps are symbols of inspiration, things that remind you of positive things that you want to remember or maybe want to do or maybe want to be. And finally, I highly recommend keeping a journal in your life in some fashion. There's so many different apps and tools you can use for that, so that when you have great ideas and you feel inspired, you can record that. And when you feel less inspired and more tired, you can draw off of that. As always on your journey, best of luck to you. Till next time, thank you for watching.